The Unseen Chains, Guinea's Revolution. Through the eyes of the people, poverty in freedom is better than riches in slavery. That's what Ahmed Sékou Touré declared in 1958, facing down French President Charles de Gaulle. Guinea chose freedom. Overnight, it became the first French African colony to seize full independence. But what did that freedom cost? And who truly paid the price? Welcome to Untold Africa. Today we peel back the layers of Guinea's revolution, not through the speeches of great men, but through the sweat, blood, and defiance of its women, its youth, and its ordinary people. This is a story of class war, shattered promises, and the enduring spirit of resistance. Guinea wasn't just dirt and borders to France. It was the water tower of West Africa, rich in rivers, bauxite, gold, and human labor. French rule was a machine designed for extraction. A tiny elite, chiefs, nobles, and colonial collaborators thrived. Think of the Fula chiefs granted privileges by the Portuguese and French to control the peasantry, demanding forced labor on their lands. Below them, the vast majority, peasants tied to the land, artisans like blacksmiths relegated to the bottom rung, and dock workers sweating in Conakry's port. This rigid hierarchy wasn't accidental, it was colonial fuel. Enter Sekou Touré, not just an elite politician but a trade unionist. His power base wasn't salons, it was the docks, the railways, the farms. His party, the PDG, Parti Démocratique de Guinée, became the vehicle for the downtrodden, the RDA's radical wing. They organized where others ignored: villages, markets, and work sites. When de Gaulle offered his colonies a choice in 1958 to remain shackled to France in a community or face total abandonment, Guinea's elite trembled. Touré and the mobilized masses roared, "No!" September 28, 1958, the referendum. Over 95% voted. Number. France's revenge was swift and brutal. They ripped out telephones, smashed administrative records, and even poisoned medicine supplies. Overnight, Guinea lost its doctors, engineers, and economic lifeline. The elites, many fled or collaborated. Who was left to build a nation? Ordinary Guineans. This is where history forgets the women. They weren't just spectators, they were the infrastructure of resistance. Think of the market women. Years later, in 1977, when Touré's Stalinist policies starved them, they didn't beg, they rioted. Their uprising in Conakry markets forced Touré to abandon forced collectivization and reopen trade with France. Their power was visceral, economic, and undeniable. And in the villages, women like Brinzam, a cook for liberation fighters. She describes the terror. The whites controlled the air, bombed us in a place called the Liberated Zone. Yet she and others fed the fighters, pounding rice in silence, using holes carved in termite mounds to avoid detection. They sang songs of resilience. We are now reassured. The strength of pikes is in Como. Amilcar Cabral is our leader. Their labor, cooking, nursing, smuggling, spying, sustained the physical and moral backbone of the struggle. Young people were the revolution's shock troops and its hidden casualties. Touré harnessed their idealism. Students, young workers, and unemployed youth flocked to the PDG banner. They were the messengers, the organizers in the countryside, the faces of the new Guinea. But post-independence, this energy was channeled into Touré's increasingly paranoid, one-party state. Dissent became treason. The notorious Boiro camp swallowed thousands: intellectuals, students, and even former comrades. Youthful hope curdled into fear. And what of the peasants Touré claimed to champion? Cabral, the revolutionary theorist from neighboring Guinea-Bissau, offered a stark analysis. The peasantry, while the essential physical force, wasn't inherently revolutionary. They needed political education to overcome centuries of feudal or traditional subjugation. Touré initially understood this, mobilizing Balante communities, historically resistant to authority, and trying to break Fula feudal bonds. But his solution, Rigid Soviet-style socialism ignored local realities. Centralized diktats replaced colonial extraction with state extraction. Farmers faced quotas, state markets, and collapsing prices. The dream of land and freedom soured. Touré's turn to the Soviets and Chinese was born of French-imposed isolation. They provided crucial aid: technicians, weapons, and funds for the new Sili currency. But this wasn't solidarity, it was Cold War opportunism. Guinea became a pawn. When the Stalinist model failed to deliver prosperity, crippled by mismanagement, corruption, and the flight of the educated elite, Touré, ever the pragmatist, crawled back to the West in the 1970s. The ordinary Guinean paid the price: extreme hardship and poverty. The bitterest pill? The revolution betrayed its own. Touré's PDG merged party and state into an all-controlling behemoth. Power concentrated in the hands of a new elite. The Malinke-dominated clique around Touré, including his own family, grew rich while most starved. The vibrant trade unions that birthed the movement were neutered. The fearless market women were suppressed until their 1977 explosion. The promise of liberation curdled into a repressive, personalized dictatorship. Touré died in 1984. Hope flickered. Then came the coups: Lansana Conté, Moussa Dadis Camara. Each promised change, each entrenched corruption and repression, but the spirit of '58, it never died. Look at the girls. Tens of thousands trapped as domestic slaves, working 18-hour days, beaten, raped, unpaid. Sent away by poor rural families, exploited by urban elites. A brutal class exploitation echoes colonial patterns. Yet they resist silently, daily. Look at the women, still battling centuries-old chains: forced marriages, FGM, 85% prevalence; crushing illiteracy, only 22% literate versus 50% men; dying in childbirth, 1-200 deaths, 100,000 births. They fight through NGOs, demanding education, healthcare, and real constitutional equality, battling a formidable force of tradition. Look at the youth and workers. In 2006-2007, they paralyzed Guinea with massive strikes against Conté's misrule and crippling IMF austerity. In 2009, they flooded the stadium in Conakry to protest Camara's power grab. Soldiers met them with bullets, 150 plus massacred. The defiance continues. Guinea's story is raw. It shatters the myth of independence as a single heroic moment. True liberation is a relentless, unfinished class struggle. It's the market woman defying soldiers. The girl is escaping her abusive employer. The student is demanding justice. The peasant claiming their land's true worth. It's the understanding that freedom from the colonizer means nothing without freedom from the exploiter, the patriarch, the dictator. Touré offered a powerful rejection: no to France. But the deeper yes, yes to a Guinea, where the farmer, the worker, the woman, the youth aren't just footnotes in a leader's speech, but the true authors of their destiny. That yes is still being written. This is the untold Africa. The story doesn't end with independence. It begins in the streets, the fields, and the homes of the people. Share their story. Question the narratives. If we want to understand Guinea today, we must remember the class struggles of its past and the ordinary people who dared to rise. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through Guinea's untold history. Let us know in the comments what other stories from Africa's liberation struggles you'd like to see covered. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Untold Africa for more stories where ordinary people make extraordinary history, and as we continue to explore the stories that shaped Africa's past and future. Together, let's celebrate the legacies that define us. Until next time, stay critical and keep questioning.